Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. We are so happy that you are all here today. So before we begin, I just want to go ahead and let you know what an awesome group we have ready to do this webinar for you today. So this is the Wandering Prevention and Support for Individuals with Autism and Intellectual Development Disabilities on Autistic Pride Day, which is June 18th. So my name is Christina Michiraggio, and I'm a Community Service Analyst Level 2 for the LA Found program in the Disabilities Division here at the LA County Aging and Disabilities Department. And so before we get started, I do want to do some housekeeping items for our viewers on Zoom. This presentation is being recorded and all attendees will remain muted throughout the presentations. We will be having a Q&A session toward the end where we may be able to unmute you during that time. Please feel free to comment or ask questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A box. And I do have that right here just so you can see where that might be. For technical assistance, please put your information in the chat box for troubleshooting assistance, and a link to today's recording will be sent out to the email you registered with on Zoom at a later date, and we will be sending out some great resources. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to LA County's Aging and Disabilities Director, Dr. Laura Trejo.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this webinar. I want to welcome each and every one of you for spending a bit of your time with us today. Um, Today's webinar is grounded in a variety of areas. One of them is really looking at what the data tells us, but also as important is to make sure that we're building inclusive communities for everyone. That is really at the heart of our compassion and working with our communities. One of the pieces of data that has always kind of, taken me aback, it makes me think the importance of the work that all of us do together has to do with the fact that nearly 49% of children with autism attempt to wander. That is really something that we have to keep in mind, the safety of these young people in our communities. All of us have an opportunity to be watchful and intentional as we're trying to protect these youngsters. According to the National Autism Association, 71% of autism-related wandering deaths are due to accidental drowning. Again, another piece of data that should be a great concern to all of us, with the highest risk for drownings during summer months, like we are right now, June through August. Again, keeping a watchful eye, educating communities, our neighbors, our friends in the community, letting them know this is the times we have to be even especially alert with young folks around water. These numbers are more than statistics. They represent families, individuals, and real lives in our community. That is why LA Found, which is part of our disabilities branch, exists. It exists to support family caregivers and to protect individuals with autism, dementia, and other developmental disabilities who are at high risk of wandering. As we observe Autistic Pride Day today, June 18th, we celebrate the strengths, identities, and contributions of autistic individuals, and we commit to listening, supporting, and acting with them and on their behalf. At the Aging and Disabilities Department, we believe in making life better for individuals with autism and developmental disabilities and for those who provide support to them. As Dr. Devon Price, author of Unmasking Autism and a well-known neurodiversity advocate, reminds us, the neurodivergent folks do not need us. They don't need to be cured. They need to be heard, accommodated, and accepted. And I think that's a wonderful thing to keep in mind as we continue our conversation today. Today, you will hear from remarkable leaders in our community, experts in their space, and we are so grateful for them making time to share their thoughts with us today. Among them, Lori McClellan from the National Autism Association, Lisa Schroeder, our very own LA Found Task Force and Department of Mental Health. We also have our own commissioner, Rena De Assis, who serves on our Commission on Disabilities and is a tireless advocate for equity and inclusion, as are all of our speakers today. Together today, we will be exploring practical strategies, safety tools, and community-based supports that can help caregivers and families stay one step ahead. To every caregiver, family member, and professional here today, thank you for your continued dedication and commitment to the work. We see you, we support you, and we are in this together. We hope that you leave today's session not just with more information, but hopefully you are more connected and more empowered. Thank you very much for being with us today.
So thank you, Dr. Trejo, for being here today to recognize this important day and for your leadership and devotion to the LA Found program and to the Aging and Disabilities Department. So next, I would like to introduce Rena De Assis. She is the commissioner, as Dr. Trejo said, commissioner appointed to the Los Angeles County Commission on Disabilities by Supervisor Holly J. Mitchell. Currently, she is principal consultant at RDA Strategies and founder of Inclusive Soul, a disability advocacy hub inspired by her son with cerebral palsy. And she has led LA County's first cerebral palsy motion and a free support group for families. With cross-sector experience at REDF, Dress for Success, and LA Works, she champions equity and community-led solutions. Commissioner De Assis is also a Leadership LA Fellow and has been featured in Forbes, HuffPost, and CSR Wire for her impact-driven work. So please welcome Commissioner De Assis for her remarks.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to let you know a little bit about our commission, and we exist to advocate for the rights, safety, and dignity of people with disabilities. And that, of course, addresses serious issues like wandering and elopement. As a parent of a child with cerebral palsy, my son's name is Elijah Soul, I know firsthand the deep care and vigilance and advocacy that go into protecting and uplifting our loved ones with disabilities. And every person deserves to be safe and included without shame or stigma. So today we're going to talk a little bit about wandering and the safety concerns, and it's really a community responsibility. And families should never feel alone in managing this risk of their loved one going missing. And it's up to us, policymakers, schools, health providers, law enforcement, and neighbors just to work together to address the way that we can prevent this harm and support families with the tools and resources that they need. So I'm excited that today you'll learn a little bit more about LA Found and, of course, any individualized safety plans and how stronger first responder training is really critical. But most importantly, that we want to make sure that our response is rooted in compassion and respect, and that the voices of people with disabilities themselves are heard. And especially on Autistic Pride Day, I really want to emphasize that it's important to remind ourselves that disability is not something to fear or fix. Neurodivergent people, like all of us, bring unique strengths and deserve to be celebrated, not silenced or stereotyped by misinformation. And as a commissioner, I'll continue to advocate for greater awareness as well as funding and inclusion so that every person, regardless of ability, can live safely and freely in our communities. So again, thank you for being part of this conversation today, and happy Autistic Pride Day from the LA Commission, LA County Commission on Disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner De Assis, for your remarks, and we are so grateful to have you with us today. And we also have some information about the Los Angeles County Commission on Disabilities at the end of the webinar as well. So now I would like to welcome our first speaker for today, Lori McIlwain. Lori McIlwain is the co-founder of National Autism Association. She is a national advocate for autism safety, particularly prevention and drowning. Over the last 15 years, Lori has co-authored 2 studies on lethal outcomes and helped spearhead national resources and policy, including National Autism Association Big Red Safety Box program, the Search Water First campaign, a medical diagnostic code, and Kevin and Avante's law. Let's give a warm welcome to Lori McIlwain.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you for being here, everyone, on this Autistic Pride Day. My name is Lori McIlwain. I have an adult son with level 3 autism. 18 years ago, he went missing from his school. He was luckily found by a motorist who was a kind motorist, a kind man. And he has gone missing from several schools over many years, and it was really tough to keep him safe. So since that time, we have worked to create resources that did not exist and statistics that were not there. And that's been since 2009. Next. So we really sounded the alarm on the heightened risk of wandering and drowning in 2009. And since then, we've published 2 studies, spearheaded programs, resources, and federal policy. We have 20 years of wandering and elopement data, case data, and we've built a lot of these resources on the information and insights from that case data. Next. We define wandering elopement as the tendency for a child or adult with autism to leave the safety of a responsible person's care or safe area. Nearly half of those with autism wander or elope. Next. Drowning is the highest risk, and you can see our 2024 data here. Last year was unfortunately the deadliest year on record. We had mostly drownings except for 8 individuals. So that number is at 92% for 2024. Also, traffic injury is a risk along with hyperthermia, hypothermia, exposure. The fatality risk increases from non-home settings, unfamiliar settings that are close to water, not so much from hospitals and schools, thankfully. That doesn't mean it can't happen. It's just a decreased risk from those places. The risk does increase among children under the age of 14, especially those that are non-speaking. Next. We are often asked, why do they wander? Based on our case data and our own lived experiences, it's typically to get to something of interest, to get that stimulation, or to get away from something stressful to regulate or get that regulation, or it can be both. So for example, my son would leave the classroom if a teacher was stressed out, if there was a lot of noise, but then he would head to that area of interest. For him, it was highway exit signs, it still is. And so it would be both for him. But common stressors we see are noise, triggers, phobias, panic. Anything that creates panic are typically reasons why somebody would exit seek. Next. Vulnerable times include transition, commotion, noise, fears, phobias, stress, and demands. Demands can be a simple question. It depends on the individual, but a lot of times our elopers are demand avoidant and will exit seek if too many demands are placed on them. Nap time is another vulnerable time where we see a lot where parents, grandparents, relatives, babysitters will nap or they'll co-nap, and the child wakes up first and exits. Vacations, unfamiliar settings, new moves to home or school, familiar family gatherings, outside time, and overnight when the family is sleeping are also vulnerable times. Next. Where do they wander? Based on case data, quiet places is where they will go to get that regulation, mainly nearby water and natural sources of water in particular. Ponds are by far the most common place, along with creeks, canals, lakes, pools, any type of water, really. Woods are also a common place. Abandoned vehicles and areas in larger cities where there's limited water, a lot of times they will go to a parked car. Favorite places include, like my son, going to his favorite exit signs. Other places include train stations, fountains, stores, restaurants, areas of unique interest. Next. So adequate security obviously is key. Locks, door alarms, window alarms, but also baby monitors, hiding garage door openers, making sure screens don't have a hole in them because they can stick their fingers in there and elongate that tear and make it out through a screen. Personal safeguards are also recommended. Wearable ID, tracking technology. We have a medical diagnostic code for wandering. That's great for really upping the sense of urgency for schools, letting neighbors know. And also it shows that this is, a medical issue. It's not an issue of a child being defiant or just making the choice. Awareness is pretty critical. Alerting neighbors and schools can help a great deal. No nap policy. Teach adults, relatives, babysitters not to nap or co-nap, and maintain extra hypervigilance. We can't just be vigilant. We got to be extra hypervigilant, especially during gatherings, vacations, outdoor activities, holidays, and new moves. Next. So it's really important to identify triggers, and this helps you to eliminate triggers, reduce triggers. For my son, it took us a while to figure out that the crescendo at the end of a classical song was causing him to melt down. We thought maybe he wanted to hear the song again, so we would play it again. At the end, he would melt down. This is typical for a happy birthday song too, where you pretty much have that crescendo where everybody's clapping at the end. That's a common trigger in our community, and you can find ways to avoid those triggers or reduce those triggers while you teach alternative ways to respond. Calming tools and techniques, assigning safe areas to go. My son, we ended up assigning a dean's office for him. It had a comfy couch there that he could go. We also advocate for no restraint, no seclusion. So it's important to outline those safe areas to go. Teach safety skills, not just swimming lessons, water safety, visual guides. Teach safe areas and unsafe areas, as well as safe people. Next. We say stay calm, not call 911, never wait if a child is missing, and you're going to search any and all nearby water. We've seen gravel pits, we've seen dunk tanks, we've seen pool covers that have collected water, and it was actually ruled a freshwater drowning because the child died in the rainwater that fell on the cover. Any and all types of water, even if the child does not like water. We've seen cases where they fear water and they still end up drowning, unfortunately. Next. Allow water time in an adult supervised setting, and use visuals to communicate settings that are unsafe. We do not like brown water. Brown water makes us sick. Brown water can help make it so that we can't eat our favorite goldfish crackers. Be as specific appropriately as you can. Be honest. They won't know the concept of drowning, but they might understand the concept of feeling sick, feeling bad, not being able to eat their favorite foods. Schedule consistent water play around times easily recognized, such as after lunch. Make sure they see the activity has an end time and is all done. Next. Same goes for other fixations. Find creative ways to allow them to enjoy those fixations in a safe setting. Next. We offer a free Big Red Safety Box. We've shipped over 70,000 boxes to families across the United States, and I'll talk a little bit about what's in here. We've got door alarms, wearable ID, shoe ID, decals, stop signs, calming cards, but also a wealth of printed materials. Next. Some of these printed materials include a family emergency plan where you can pre-organize a search for your child. We have emergency profile form that's great for first responders, relatives, neighbors, teachers. Next. Here's a sample letter for your child's doctor, and includes some information about that medical diagnostic code I mentioned. We also have an IEP sample letter as well for the school. And this really helps in trying to advocate to reduce fence gaps. If the school has a fence and it's not well maintained, one-on-one supervision, there's all kinds of good stuff in those letters. Also, calming cards that help teach how to identify feelings and ways to calm down. Next. We offer a swim tool that helps families find swimming lessons, also just water safety tips in general, and a social story that you can customize for your child. Next. Free downloads anytime. On our website, we have a tracking tool technology tool on there as well. LA Found has so many great, tremendous resources, but for those outside of LA, you can lean on us for ways to find tracking technology and other resources in your area. Next. And we also offer our safety box in Spanish. I do thank everybody for joining us on this critical topic. And again, thank you to Christina and everybody involved today in LA Found. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Lori. And National Autism Association, your contributions towards individuals with autism and individuals with developmental disabilities is invaluable. And so we are so grateful that we get to work with you. LA Found relies on just the information and just being able to even partner with you on doing these webinars and the education. So thank you so much. So we'll be moving on to the next presentation, and that will be Department of Mental Health. And so we will have two speakers from the Department of Mental Health, and that will be Lisa Scheuer and Franklin Romero. So let me introduce Lisa Scheuer. She is one of our LA Found Task Force members. As a county-wide regional center liaisons coordinator, she brings a lived experience as a mother of a child with Costello syndrome and a deep professional expertise supporting children and youth with co-occurring developmental disabilities. And Franklin Romero is a native Angelino, holds a BA in social work from Cal State LA, and an MSW from USC. He supervises the countywide Partners in Suicide Prevention Unit and brings extensive experience in child welfare, crisis response, and medical social work, including end-of-life care, grief support, and child abuse assessments. Together, they are a powerful team, and Lisa Scheuer has done many different webinars with us, the LA Found team, so I hope you will get a chance. We'll put the link for other webinars she has done with us as well. So I'd like to turn it over to the Department of Mental Health's Family and Community Partnerships Prevention Division.
Thank you, Christine. Next slide. Our workshop objectives today is to understand how to support individuals with developmental disabilities as it relates to wandering, understand prevention strategies and planning with a circle of support, and to increase knowledge of services available, reinforcing what Lori McElwain has already provided so deeply, then also learn how to effectively create a safety plan. In terms of crisis preparedness, we realize that not any one of us can do it alone. We really need to collaborate to help build and strengthen the individual circle of support before there's a crisis. We need to help the individual develop a plan. Nice quick little chart here, I already mentioned our gates and safeguards where the LA Found bracelet and smartphone tracking can help. Putting in emergency contacts also can be put into database that LA Found has or into your own smartphones. The ID bracelet, these things that LA Found can also help with, besides finding it on the internet. In terms of geography, looking at the maps, mapping out where the person is going to be or is to see where bodies of water or pools or beaches, etc., are both in the building as well as around the building, the location. The swim lessons that have been mentioned, there are some great resources. I just Googled where the county and city departments of Parks and Rec and Parks have adaptive swim lessons, and you can also Google them, and regional centers can help fund those resources if deemed important, which it is, to develop a safety plan for the individual. And we threw in, as an example, the Rose Bowl Aquatic Center adaptive swim lessons. Another plan is to case the joint. I just had mentioned mapping out the geography, also just looking at where in the environment you can go to if things escalate, right? If we need a space to regulate ourselves. So a classic example is in Costco, which is loud and noisy and a lot of visual stuff. Where in Costco can you go if we start falling apart? And it could be the refrigerator section, which is also very cool and could help bring our blood pressure down, possibly literally. And another plan is to role play. It's like, okay, you know, we're going to go there. No, let's try to imagine it or walk it through. Next slide, please. I'm going to pass this on to Franklin.
Thank you, Lisa. So I'll go through the safety plan and strategies for wandering prevention. Some of it has been covered by our colleague before, but just really briefly, we want to make sure that the home is secure, right? So securing the home, making sure that locks and alarms are set in place. Also, with the technology that Lisa mentioned, right? Considering LA found some of the devices, the ID bracelets, extremely important. We're also looking at communication and behavioral strategies, whether that is working with educators, therapists like myself, right? I work for the Department of Mental Health. And when I was working in children's clinics, like really coming up with a safety plan with the therapist and the family to make sure that we're all on the same page, including how to ask for help and how to communicate basic needs. That's extremely important. And also role playing and practicing that with the caregiver, with the family. Looking at self-calming techniques, extremely important, practicing them, not only like teaching them once, but really practicing them. If you have a mental health professional that you're working with, or even at home, practicing them, with the individual at home, extremely important, not just for when situations arise that the person's having some difficulty self-regulating, but just practicing, I would say on a daily basis, starting off, having some routine to practice to calm and incorporating that into a daily routine is extremely important. And that's how we all learn how to manage stress. Also, the no strategies, right? Helping the individual learn appropriately to respond by saying no and understanding boundaries. And this is extremely important. A lot of times with individuals that are living with co-occurring developmental disorders, we see that they take on a lot of maybe extra socializing, extra activities that are also place a lot of stress on the individual. So practicing when and how to say no is extremely important. Have those boundaries when the caregiver or the guardian isn't around, so then they can mitigate some of the social pressures that happen at school or anywhere else. Also looking at the routines, right? Extremely important. Create routines, making sure that we establish consistent routines, daily activities, and that we practice transitions to provide predictability. That's extremely important. Slowing things down. And so again, a lot of either role playing or making sure that we practice this with the teachers, with the TAs. The last one, this one, engage attention, making sure that we keep the individual engaged, making sure that we are also, there's somebody there, right, to help reduce any urge to just wander off, making sure that the space where the individual is secure. And I know that that is not always the easiest, but again, communicating this beforehand to educators, to the school, to childcare is extremely important. Next slide, please. And again, a couple more strategies in terms of supervision and expectations, making sure that we increase supervision for the individual, that this person, as much as possible, that there are eyes on this individual. We also want to make sure that we set expectations, that we're communicating the plan and the rules for going out in public before we, go out in public, and maybe practicing them in the car or while en route to wherever it is that we're going to be going, and letting them know, kind of giving them a heads up, like, hey, there's going to be some noise, there's going to be lots of people, whatever the situation is, but letting the individual know ahead of time is extremely important. The second one, collaboration with professionals. Again, extremely important with first responders, building a relationship with law enforcement and emergency personnel about the individual's wandering tendencies and maybe different behaviors and different, affect that could be present when a first responder is communicating with the individual. Definitely want to establish that relationship as soon as we can with our law enforcement and emergency personnel to make sure that the individual is safe. Also, the support systems. Again, partnering with educators, therapists, and other providers to promote these skills and to have that community, that support is extremely important. Most importantly, that emergency preparedness, making sure that we know where the safety plan is at. There are applications that you could download on your phone that help keep the safety plan updated. I know that sometimes we print paper out and we have a safety plan on a piece of paper, but that's usually stored somewhere. And when it's time to find it, it's really hard to locate it. So applications on the phone for the caregiver, the educator, and anybody else who's part of the support system for the family is extremely important to have. The search plans, right? Identifying potential search areas, including nearby bodies of water, automobiles, like a lot of the locations that our colleague had mentioned before. And then also the Be Ready booklet, which I think we can drop the link into the chat. And that is a booklet by the National Autism Association and sharing that with first responders. And if we have a chance going through the booklet with the caregiver, with the parent in the language that is most comfortable for them so they understand, what this is so that when they access it, they know what it is that they're going to be utilizing. And then thinking about sensory needs, right? Support for sensory needs, assessing what it is that the individual needs and making sure that we, for as much as we can, plan and prepare. But we know that sometimes public spaces and other spaces, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of scent, there are a lot of other things that may be kind of activating for the person. But again, if we let the person know ahead of time while we're en route what to expect, this also helps with some of the activating events that can happen. Next slide, please. And finally, looking at the physical arrangement, the environment, making it a little bit harder for the individuals to exit, maybe rearranging furniture, the seating, making sure that we have like chimes or alarms on the door so then they're pretty loud so you could hear it from the other room if a door or window is open. Also looking at external supports, right? Trusted neighbors. Who are these people in our community that can text us like, hey, your child is like, out in the street by themselves, or, the individual's out by themselves. So we could receive that text, that notification. There are also Smart 911, which I think the link was already dropped in the chat, right? Where we could register individuals with Smart 911. And that provides, it's more of like a state database, but then it also helps mitigate, right? Instead of having to compile all this information when the individual has eloped or wandered out of the home, out of the educational center, we have that already at hand. And our colleagues already covered this, but swimming lessons, making sure that if those adaptive swimming lessons are available in locations around us, whether it's a county or the city, that we do take advantage of that. And then finally, considering Project Lifesaver technology is extremely useful, making sure that we're sharing location. And believe me, you have to continuously make sure that the location is on because children, youth are very smart with technology and they'll turn it off. I've worked with a lot of youth know how to turn the location off. So making sure that we have that location on either, pretty much every time that we're going to go out, because we, as adults, we may assume that it's on, but our children and youth are very tech savvy. And so they'll turn it off without you knowing. And may I have the next slide, please? And so that's it for us. And these are some of the resources. Some of the colleagues already have mentioned them. So LA Found, and Lisa, you mentioned Googling adaptive swimming lessons near you. So we have the city parks here in LA, the Be Ready booklet, and then also California Smart 911 to upload that profile. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for a wonderful and informative presentation by Lisa Scheuer and Franklin Romero from the Department of Mental Health. And we always appreciate the support and devotion your team has to the families and communities of Los Angeles and to, of course, LA Found. So now I just want to introduce, and it is my pleasure to introduce Sylvia Avalos with the LA County Aging and Disabilities Department. So Sylvia brings 24 years of service with Los Angeles County and 22 years with the Department of Public Social Services and 2 years with the Department of Aging and Disabilities Department. So during her tenure in the Aging and Disabilities Department, she served as the Human Services Administrator 1 in the Disabilities Division, where she had the opportunity to oversee the LA Found program for several months. And currently now she oversees the Information and Assistance program. So I really appreciate you for taking the time to present on LA Found for us, Sylvia. And so please welcome Sylvia Avalos.
Thank you for the introduction, Christina. So as Christina mentioned, my name is Sylvia Avalos, and I am happy to present on the LA Found program. So today's slides will hopefully be informative and add to the importance for safety rules for our most vulnerable populations. Let me first start off with some statistics on autism spectrum disorder and developmental disabilities in California. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, about 1 in 31 or 3.2% of children were identified with autism spectrum disorder in California. Autism is reported to occur in all racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic groups. An estimated 49% of children with autism will engage in wandering behavior. Finding people quickly is key to ensuring their safe return. Next slide. In California, there are 12 regional centers with 7 regional centers throughout Los Angeles County. They serve individuals with autism and developmental disabilities. Each center operates under a community-based, person-centric approach, developing service plans tailored to each person's needs. Services include early intervention for children, employment training, independent living skills, behavioral therapy, case management, and caregiver support. Regional centers collaborate closely with families, healthcare providers, schools, and community organizations to maximize a person's ability to integrate into community life. Next slide, please. So currently, there are 641,000 adults 60 years and older that have cognitive or other disabilities, a number projected to double by 2030. Older adults with autism face additional financial costs related to specialized care. They are at greater risk for physical and mental health issues than their peers without autism or dementia. Social isolation and loneliness contribute to depression and poor health outcome. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about the LA Found program and how we are here to help. In February 2018, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors unanimously approved the Bringing Our Loved Ones Home initiative, now known as LA Found. This was a groundbreaking countywide initiative to help locate individuals with Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, or other cognitive impairments who wander. Supervisor Hahn championed this initiative after helping with a search for Nancy Pelikas, a Manhattan Beach resident who suffered from early onset Alzheimer's and went missing after she wandered away from her family while visiting Los Angeles County Museum of Art in October 2016. This was led by the 4th Supervisorial District and the Department of Aging and Disabilities. The expert-informed LA Found Task Force provides our most vulnerable community members with the highest level of support, including education, safety recommendations to help prevent wandering, and free locating technology for families in need. If you would like more background information for the task force and LA Found initiative or the BOLO report, please scan the QR code, which we have right here. We can go ahead and provide. Next slide, please. So our current technology. LA Found partners with two types of technology. The first one is a radio transmitter device from Project Lifesaver International, which is a community-based nonprofit organization that helps protect and quickly locate individuals with cognitive disorders who are prone to wandering. Participants wear this waterproof device, this bracelet, normally on the wrist or somewhere on the body where it is meant to stay on the body every day and does not need to be removed. There are guidelines to follow and important emergency protocols, specifically when wearing this bracelet to keep your loved ones safe in case they wander. For younger children and those with sensory issues, this can be worn in the shoe, in a pocket, or LA Found team members will explore options with you. And if a caregiver reports a missing person by calling 911, law enforcement can request assistance from Los Angeles Sheriff's Department's Mental Evaluation Team, which is the LASD MET, who use specialized receivers to track the signal and aid in the search. The second device is the GPS Theora Care smartwatch by Clairvoyant Networks. This technology offers an alternative to the Project Lifesaver and is specifically designed to work with an app on the caregiver's phone for tracking. This device is also worn on the wrist as a watch and has a locking tool. There is also an SOS feature and multiple caregiver setup. Children under the age of 11 or 12 years old would not be suitable due to the size. More importantly, this device is really for someone with more frequency of wandering. Next slide, please. So now we get to the eligibility criteria and how to apply. The eligibility criteria for LA Found is simple and accessible, and there is no income requirement. To enroll, a person must be a resident of Los Angeles County, have cognitive impairments such as Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, developmental disabilities, or a traumatic brain injury, and be mobile and prone to wandering. To apply, there are three options. You can scan the QR code and apply online at this link right here. We will go ahead and provide that. Also, you can email lafound at ad.lacounty.gov for an application to be mailed or emailed. Or you can call 1-833-569-7651 and request an application to be mailed or emailed. So we have the device kit and spare parts. After approval, families will receive the following depending on the device. For the Project Lifesaver, a free 1-year Project Lifesaver kit comes with 6 batteries, wristbands, and they are stronger than hospital grade, a lubricant, tester, key, and water seals. The free Theora smartwatch kit comes with a GPS device, charger and block, locking tool for lock clip, and instructions. And a SIM card is already installed and activated. The caregiver or the authorized agent is required to have an active Wi-Fi plan and phone to set up tracking app. So the participants also receive free spare parts, batteries, wristbands, and they also receive ongoing support to keep their loved ones safe, resources for law enforcement, schools, care centers, or caregivers. These will be mailed via certified U.S. mail, or they may be picked up by appointment only at one of the county senior centers or at our office in downtown Los Angeles. After applying for an LA Found tracking bracelet, a team member will reach out to do a phone orientation. to discuss program requirements, go over caregiving responsibilities, and how the bracelet and countywide coordination works with connecting 911. Next slide, please. So now let's go over a few things about the agent. So who is the agent, or who can be the agent? A conservator, agent with power of attorney, agent with advanced healthcare directive, also the spouse, domestic partner, adult son or daughter, custodial parent, adult brother or sister, adult grandchild, available adult relative. So that would be with the closest degree of kinship. And the responsibilities would be to test the device daily using the battery tester and record the information in the provided log, change the battery every 60 days, comply with the informational and reporting guidelines, understand that this is a tracking tool to assist in locating of a participant, and to contact 911 immediately if their loved one goes missing. And depending on your needs, age requirements, and caregiver situation, the team member may request supplemental documentation, such as copies of verification of documents, an ID for the agent, and an ID or birth certificate for the person who will be wearing the device. If there is a grandparent or other guardian or caregiver other than the parent, verification of documents such as conservatorship, power of attorney, or other consent type of document will be required for verification only. And LA found a waiver of consent as part of the application will also be required for signature to receive a bracelet. Next slide, please. So as we see here, just a quick view of the 5 supervisorial district depicting the current enrollment of participants in the program. Next slide, please. When a participant goes missing, as mentioned earlier, you learned that the Project Lifesaver bracelet requires the LA County Sheriff's MET team to go out and track the bracelet. Family caregivers are trained to call 911 immediately within 15 minutes and use keywords to identify their loved ones as at risk. Provide the device's frequency number and the special LASD MET phone number to aid first responders. The 911 operator may then route the call to the nearest law enforcement jurisdiction and request assistance from LASD MET if needed. After calling 911, families may contact the LA Found hotline 211 for additional support, and LA Found will follow up with both the family and LASD MET to make sure the search is underway. Next slide, please. As you can see here, this is LASD MET with our LA Found team. MET provides crisis assessment, intervention, and case management to help de-escalate situations, facilitate appropriate placements, and connect individuals with community resources while reducing use of force and diverting from incarceration. MET also offers training and guidance to families on less restrictive intervention options, and they are trained and certified and Project Lifesaver search and coordination and are equipped to save lives. Next slide, please. LA Found also conducts educational webinars. You can watch some of the past webinars for LA Found and Aging and Disabilities by scanning the QR code. We also attend community outreach events throughout Los Angeles County and conduct presentations for our providers and agencies. Next slide, please. We are finally on the last slide of this presentation, and our LA Found team would like to take a moment to honor Autistic Pride Day. Self-determination means individuals with autism and other developmental disabilities have the right to make their own choices and control their own futures. whether it's choosing services, setting goals, or living as independently as possible. Autistic Pride Day, today, June 18th, celebrates the strengths, contributions, and unique perspectives of autistic people, promoting understanding, dignity, and empowerment. And California's regional centers funded by the Department of Developmental Services provide support, resources, and case management to help individuals and their families achieve their preferred routines, goals, and highest possible quality of life. Together, these initiatives enable self-advocacy, independence, and full community participation for people with autism and other developmental disabilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. So now I know we've reached the Q&A session, and we just want to go ahead and see if we had any questions. I know that there was a few issues, I think, on the chat box. I did not see any of the Q&A. I do know that it was enabled, but I think we've had some technical issues. So if the team wants to help me a little bit to see if there were any questions in the chat instead, would you mind just speaking up and letting me know?
I think the best bet, my suggestion would be if anyone's comfortable to unmute themselves, because it seems like the chat might be not enabled for the participants, but all the links have been copied and pasted that could possibly be shared after the webinar. If you're on the department's email list, that would just be my idea, but you will get a copy of the actual presentation if you're on the department's email list, and then it's usually sent out in an e-blast like a couple weeks later.
Absolutely. Okay, I see Lisa. Go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to reinforce the idea that regional centers can help the individual if they are a regional center client. Swim lessons, the adaptive swim lessons, it might sound like, oh yeah, well, every child goes to get swim lessons if they can. It's if you describe it as a safety plan necessity, then regional center can then justify paying for swim lessons. So it's also for any equipment that you might want to prepare for your house, to build a case for safety, and they can look into it and possibly fund it. So to consider them as a resource if the individual is a regional center client.
Thank you for that. Okay, I'm seeing one question for sensory friendly individuals. What would be the best recommendation? Did you not have like having bracelets or necklaces? So one of the things that I can answer this question, the main thing is that we want to have something on the body, right? So there are some great recommendations even from Angel Sense. I don't know if some of you have heard of that. They have something called like a pocket, right? You can attach it to the clothing. It's like a magnet, but it attaches and locks in place, and it's something that you can put out of sight, out of mind. And people have done that. For younger ones, we have with the Project Lifesaver, it loops onto the shoelace. So there's definitely different recommendations as well as the lanyard. And you mentioned they don't like necklaces or even bracelets, but there's different things that people have done to be very, very creative. So we like trying to look for different designs to work with. Families have also given us some great recommendations. So it's important to try to really do your best to get them to wear it, even on the maybe ankle, over the sock, or something along those lines, because it saves a life. And so we have to do our best, even maybe working with the ABA, right? Maybe working with the behavioral therapist on having them wear it, maybe just working with them on that. And I think that that is a great thing to do because that will save their life. And so that is what we would try to recommend. And I know, guys, it's 11 o'clock. And so I want to continue to answer these questions. I do apologize that we did short. I do want to answer all of these questions. We're going to take these back, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to answer these questions and send them out to you individually, and then make sure that we connect with you. And if you are interested in applying for LA Found, I strongly recommend you do so, and we can have this conversation even further and evaluate what you need and connect you with what you need. But it's important to do that. And so I thank all the panelists today, and I did have other resources that you guys, let me switch the slides here. We have the LA County Commission on Disabilities. If you guys are interested in joining a meeting, I just want to show the QR code that will take you to the schedule. But if you're interested in joining, please email laccod@bos.lacounty.gov. And then you can also even email LA Found, and we'll direct you. And also you can go to this QR code or email us at lafound@ad.lacounty.gov for more resources. We do have resources on autism and other technologies as well, alternative technologies, as well as developmental disabilities. And so we're going to again send out a list more robust. So thank you, everybody. And please, I ask you to all just stay safe and have a wonderful day. Thank you again.